Welcome to Test Drive, the show where we kick the tires on things to see if they're worth your time and your money. In episode 1, we're going to look at Overlord, the self-proclaimed mystical stargate between After Effects and Illustrator. Will it solve all of your interoperability woes? Should the word interoperability be used so indiscriminately? Is this truly vector workflow salvation? All of these questions, or perhaps fewer, will be answered right now, so let's do this. If you've ever created artwork inside of Illustrator for use in After Effects, you know it can be quite a bit of a convoluted process to get it into After Effects the way that you want to work with it and to be really efficient in your animation. And so let's use this as an example. I have this space scene with an astronaut, a moon, some stars, some text, this cable here, and I probably want to be able to rotate these limbs around, rotate the head, move the entire astronaut, move the cable around, maybe move the moon, change the text, all that kind of stuff. And so what I would normally do right now is just go into After Effects, import that artwork, bring it as a composition, open up that composition, and everything came in the way I have it organized in Illustrator mostly. The problem is that it basically flattens all of my artwork here on this astronaut into one layer, so I don't have any control over the limbs, over the head, over anything. It's basically one flat layer. Of course, the way I would get around this is to create shapes from this, and so I'd go to create shapes from vector layer, and now it actually splits out all the shapes, which is great. The not great thing, however, is that all of the organization that I did is gone. So if we go back to Illustrator, you'll notice I was actually a really good designer and labeled all of my subgroups and all of my paths. It's beautiful, it's elegant, and for some reason Illustrator and After Effects just do not talk well to each other. Maybe they're not friends, maybe they got into a fight, I don't know. Anyway, so what I would have to do is go back to After Effects, regroup everything, duplicate this, split out the layers, use a third-party plugin like Explode Shape Layer or something like that. It's definitely workable, but it's definitely not efficient. So there is actually a different way around this. So what I could do is I'm going to start over, go back into Illustrator, and what I could do is with my astronaut, I could actually just come up here and say release layers to sequence. And so now all of these are now separate layers, and I could just put them up here and I could send all of these into After Effects. But the problem is, of course, all of my organization is now gone again, at least for the most part. And so everything I've done, everything I've tried to organize and be elegant with is just done. And so just not a great system of working in between After Effects and Illustrator right now. That is, until Overlord from battleaxe.co has come around, bringing true interoperability between After Effects and Illustrator. So some of the standout features of Overlord are you can transfer shapes from Illustrator without files, so you don't even have to import Illustrator files into After Effects, which is awesome. You can edit AE shape layers in Illustrator, so basically if you bring your shape layers into After Effects and you want to maybe tweak them or something like that because Illustrator has better tools for that, you can send them to Illustrator and then send them back to After Effects. Totally awesome. You can also explode shapes during transfer, so you can choose what to send, what not to send, how you want to organize it, how you don't want to organize it. It doesn't matter, Overlord can do it. And also, finally, there is editable text, so you can send your text from Illustrator into After Effects and be able to edit it. There's some other features as well, and it's pretty much awesome, and so let's look at how this actually works. I think I'll focus on my astronaut character here. I'm just going to select the entire layer. And with Overlord, you have quite a few options on how you can get the artwork into After Effects. This first option here is to split the shapes to layers, which is basically functions like the release to layers sequence, but it functions a lot better because it actually does what you want it to do. For this example though, I'm going to leave it unchecked. You can also detect parametric rectangle ellipse, which is useful when you get into After Effects. You can center the anchor points, which I usually like to do. You can also center at the comp center, which I'm not going to do for this. And so I'm going to just bring this in as one layer, and so let's do a push to After Effects. It brings my artwork in like it should, creates a shape layer, and so if I twirl down here into the contents, oh my goodness, all of the groups that I made are still labeled correctly, all of the paths are labeled correctly. I've never heard of this before because Illustrator has never been able to do this, but Overlord can. It really is that amazing. And so now all of my parts are here within this one shape layer. I can animate them if that's how I want to work, but maybe I want all of these to be more discrete layers, and so we can do that. Let's go back to Illustrator with this handy button right here. I'm still going to select this, but then I want to make sure that the split shapes to layers is selected. Do the same push, and now you can see it has split out all of those subgroups into their own layers. So now I can control this arm, I control the head, whatever I want to do, and so it really is a pretty flexible way of getting your artwork into After Effects exactly how you want it. And the great thing is you don't have to just do, one layer. I could just do this group. I could even just do this path. It really is that flexible. And so you can be as organized as you want to. You can be as disorganized as you want to. It really is all dependent on how you want to work and what is most efficient for you. And so I might do the same thing with the toe cable. Maybe I will just do this as one layer here. Just put it down there. Let's go back. I think maybe the stars and the background can be one layer since they're not going to really move. And we'll just put that back there. And then for the last thing, I just want to grab the moon, put that in there. And so just like that, I have all of my artwork into After Effects the way I want it in there. That's how Overlord can really just transform your vector-based workflow between After Effects and Illustrator. Another super useful feature of Overlord is it lets you take artwork that's inside of After Effects, send it to Illustrator, and then send it back to After Effects, basically making Illustrator kind of like a plugin for After Effects. The reason you might want to do this is because sometimes After Effects doesn't play nicely with shape layers, at least as well as that Illustrator does. For example, with this moon, maybe I want to go into this shadow here and I have to click down through all these things just to pull this out, and that's just kind of a pain in the butt. And so, maybe you'll want to make it a little easier myself, especially if I want to make a lot of different adjustments, and just send it right to Illustrator. So let's go ahead and just send it to Illustrator. And so it's going to update it over here. And so now I can just go in and use my tools here to, easily modify all these things right here, which is much easier than trying to do this inside of After Effects. And then I can just select this again, push it right back, and there it is again. Just get rid of that previous moon and we're good to go, just like that. And so you can see this makes it really super easy to modify artwork inside of After Effects without actually having to do it inside of After Effects. And of course, we can't forget that Overlord gives you the ability to send text from Illustrator into After Effects and still have it be editable. Now, if you've ever worked with Illustrator artwork before, you kind of get that groaning feeling when you see an Illustrator file full of text and you're like, oh, I have to recreate this all inside of After Effects. It's going to take such a long time and be so tedious. Well, all of that is now in the past. So all you have to do is just select your text layer, push it to After Effects, and you can see it brings it in as an editable text layer, so I can change this if I want to. Whatever I want to do, it's completely editable, it's completely amazing, and Illustrator and After Effects have never been able to do this before, and so this is pretty much a game changer if you work with vector artwork all the time. Well, hopefully you can see from this short test drive that almost all of the interoperability woes between After Effects and Illustrator are almost completely done away with by Overlord. It gives you a really flexible way to get all of your artwork into After Effects the way you want it, and then even more options on how you work with it once you're there, because you can send it back to Illustrator and then back again to After Effects, basically opening up that mystical Stargate promising vector workflow salvation. So I'm going to create a quick little animation, so enjoy this short time lapse and I'll be right back. Alright, so we've kicked the tires on Overlord pretty well, and I think you'll agree that it's a really robust script that'll completely transform your vector-based workflow between After Effects and Illustrator. If you work with shape layers in After Effects all the time, I highly recommend that you pick this up. In fact, if you're still listening to me talking about this now, instead of going out and buying it, you're kind of just wasting your time and your money, so stop listening to me, go pick it up, and make your life in After Effects and Illustrator so much easier. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this inaugural edition of Test Drive. We're hoping to make a bunch more episodes of this in the future, so if you have any ideas for future Test Drive videos, be sure to drop us a line. And if you're looking for useful tutorials, great resources, and other cool stuff, be sure to visit ProChurchMediaUniversity.com, as well as stop by Facebook at the Pro Church Media Community Group to connect with like-minded people, get your questions answered, and so much more. Until the next time, I will talk to you later.